Okay, real talk. Have you ever had a cup of coffee and suddenly felt like your heart's trying to do parkour inside your chest? Or worse, your brain starts thinking of all the ways your boss might fire you, your friends secretly hate you, and your life is falling apart over spilled oat milk. If that's you, congratulations. You've experienced the anxiety caffeine curse. But what's actually happening in your brain when caffeine flips the switch from good morning to existential dread? Welcome to the channel. Grab your tea, decaf maybe? Because we're diving deep into the science of why caffeine can trigger anxiety and even anxiety disorders. What is caffeine really? Caffeine is the world's most widely used psychoactive drug. Yes, drug. It's found in coffee, tea, soda, energy drinks, and even chocolate, which means we're basically all legal addicts. It works by blocking adenosine, a neurotransmitter that tells your brain, hey, time to chill out. When caffeine blocks it, your brain stays in hype mode. It also triggers the release of dopamine and norepinephrine, the feel-good and fight-or-flight chemicals. Sounds fun, right? Well, buckle up. A little anecdote about feeling good. I keep hearing that you shouldn't drink coffee until 90 minutes after you get up. For me, that feels impossible because I need the Kickstarter. Otherwise, I'm useless. Also, a fresh coffee in the morning has somehow become a ritual for me. What do you think? How caffeine triggers anxiety. So here's where things get spicy. Studies show that caffeine activates the sympathetic nervous system, aka your fight or flight response. In people prone to anxiety, that system is already trigger happy. So, a cup of joe? It's like giving gasoline to a fire. I remember a work colleague who, by drinking coffee, unconsciously exacerbated his existing anxiety due to family difficulties. The person had persistent anxiety, insomnia, and his body showed clear symptoms that something was wrong. He was also in a spiral of constant rumination, which was an additional burden on his mental stability and physical condition. A 2005 study from the journal Psychosomatic Medicine found that people with panic disorder were way more likely to have panic attacks after just one cup of coffee, while the control group was chilling. Translation: if you're anxious, caffeine isn't your friend. It's your frenemy, smiling at you while dialing 911 inside your head. Genetics plus personality equals trouble. Not everyone reacts the same. Some people slam an espresso and nap 20 minutes later. Others? One latte and they're composing their will. A friend of mine drinks what feels like 2 pots of coffee on his own at work and still always seems tired. He himself says that he doesn't feel really awake and has the feeling that he constantly has to take breaks because he can't concentrate and is constantly stressed. He has been to the doctor several times, but he has not noticed any abnormalities. That's partly genetic. There's a gene called CYP1A2 that controls how fast your body metabolizes caffeine. If you're a slow metabolizer, the effects hit harder and last longer. Also, research shows that people with certain personality traits, like high neuroticism or introversion, are more likely to get anxious from caffeine. So yes, if you're the kind of person who overthinks texts like K, maybe skip the Red Bull before your next Microsoft Teams meeting. Real studies, real chaos. Let's hit you with some receipts. A 2011 study in the Journal of Psychopharmacology found that caffeine increased cortisol levels by up to 30%. That's your stress hormone screaming. A 2014 meta-analysis in neuropsychopharmacology showed consistent links between high caffeine intake and anxiety disorders, especially in adolescents and women. It makes me very thoughtful when I see young people between the ages of 10 and 15 already consuming several energy drinks a day. What physical and mental effects will this have in their adolescence when their hormones are a mess? And yep, college students in another study who consumed energy drinks regularly had higher rates of anxiety, insomnia, and even depression. Moral of the story? That 5-hour energy might be stealing more than your sleep. It's stealing your sanity. A personal caffeine horror story. So picture this: a 22-year-old man trying to impress his boss. He chugged 2 large iced coffees before a big presentation. Big mistake. Halfway through the pitch, his heart's racing, his hands are shaking, and he forget the name of the product. It was literally on the screen. By the end, he is sweating like he just ran a marathon, except he is just standing still, looking like a malfunctioning robot. Lesson learned. Now he sip matcha like an anxious squirrel. How to know if you should cut back. Here are signs caffeine might be doing you dirty. You get anxious or jittery after coffee. Your heart races or skips beats. You feel more panicked or on edge. Your sleep sucks. You need it to function. Try cutting back slowly. Switch to decaf, tea, or water. Wild concept, I know. Your brain might protest, but your anxiety levels will thank you. I've experienced an incident like this myself. The person used to drink a lot of coffee and energy drinks. At some point, he realized that this was somehow not so good for him, as he often felt permanent restlessness and his mental carousel would not stop. He took time for himself and started drinking lots of calming tea without caffeine and discovered meditation. Since the change, he has been mentally more stable and physically better. So think about it. Should you quit caffeine? Caffeine isn't evil, but for some of us, it's the quiet villain in our mental health story. So don't feel bad if your brain doesn't vibe with coffee. You're not weak. You're just wired different. Let's normalize saying, "No thanks, I'm already anxious enough without a venti latte." If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, maybe share it with your over-caffeinated bestie, and subscribe for more science, sanity, and sarcasm. Thanks for watching. Stay calm, stay curious, and maybe stay decaf. See you next time.